we'll be recording them. We record them so that we can then share them with audiences afterwards. We get quite a lot of people watching videos because they can't make the weekly events at 11 o'clock. So we follow up with them. We've got, unlike in previous weeks where we've had a panel discussion, this week we're going back to a more of a presentation format. And we've got 3 very interesting individuals and 3 interesting agencies on their respective insights into the world of AI. A quick update on where we are with our favourite subject, COVID. For those obviously haven't caught up with the news today, you probably saw last night that Boris basically suffered his biggest Commons revolt, but nonetheless had a convincing win of 291 to 78 in approval on the new COVID tiers. Most of you on this call will probably be peeved with the tier that you're in, whether you're in tier 2 or indeed a number of people in tier 3. As far as I'm aware, I don't know anyone who's in a region in tier 1, unless you're in the Scilly Isles or somewhere in the West Country. So we're all in it together. Really positive bits of news this morning was that the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine has been approved for use in the UK, which is fantastic. That paves the way for mass vaccination. Officials are suggesting that actually it could be as early as next week that we can get the jab. Obviously, they'll be going for those that need it most first. This particular vaccine has a 95% effectiveness, and it works across all age groups, which is incredible. And the UK has ordered 40 million doses of the vaccine, so obviously help 20 million people, because you need, I think, 2 to be properly vaccinated. On the downside, you read about Debenhams, unfortunately, being the latest high street failure. I mean, Debenhams have been hanging on for the best part of 18 months. They finally succumbed yesterday, along with Arcadia. And we're going to be talking really about technology today and actually how that will impact on the high street and beyond. We're looking at both the positive and also some of the potential impacts on the ways in which we work and how we move forward. So, how intelligent is AI? Well, I've got 3 very intelligent people going to give us an insight into what it's all about. Adam, who is the co-founder of inflo.Ai, has worked in a number of startups and high-growth companies for over a decade. In 2013, he founded inflo.Ai, a London-based technology company that's on a mission to help overstretched marketing agencies, i.e. all of us, in-house marketing teams, all of our clients, and SMEs to find their voice and grow online. It's a fantastic piece of kit, and he's going to be giving us some insights as to what they're finding out and how they're using it to help companies manage and make their SEO content more visible, how to actually help target and bloggers, and how to create simpler, faster, and more affordable ways to communicate with your audiences. Kerry Harrison is the co-founder of Tiny Giant. Tiny Giant is an award-winning creative technologist agency. They specialize in using immersive tech and emerging tech, particularly in the areas of augmented reality and AI, to tackle new ways and to tackle marketing problems. In 2018, after 18 years as an agency creative and copywriting head, she co-founded Tiny Giant, helped pioneer the use of AI and AR. And over the last 2 years, Kerry and the Tiny Giant team have designed an AI Curator, crafted the world's first AI gin, and created AR lenses, filters for businesses, including the BBC. Alongside her work for Tiny Giant, Kerry is also a blogger, a tech podcast host, and a wannabe AI artist. So she's really pioneered, I would say, the use of AI in the world of creativity. And we're very familiar with its use in banking and in technology and in communications elsewhere, but perhaps not quite so aware of what you can do in the world of creativity. Michael Wald is the CEO and founder of Third Foundation. In 2006, Michael founded Home James, a digital marketing agency. Having then acquired a web development agency in 2010, Michael led the merger of the 2 businesses, which saw it go into provide full service digital marketing, and led the work on brands such as B&Q, Fulton's, Asda, Jet2, and they won a number of awards during their time. He grew the agency up to 70 people with £8 million in revenue, and then sold the business and exited in 2018. Well done, sir. After some time out, he's come back into the world of marketing and has founded or co-founded Third Foundation in 2019. So a relatively new startup, And the third foundation is on a mission to create time to think by automating the tedious solving challenges around prediction and freeing up time for transformational thinking. In short, basically giving us more time to think and do good stuff for our clients. So a variety of different perspectives on a subject that we all need to know a lot more about. We're going to start with Michael. The format today is 3 short presentations. We'll then open it up to questions as before. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the chat box at the bottom. But we'll start with Michael, and welcome to you, sir. You need to come off mute.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
We can indeed.
Okay. So where are we at with AI today? So it's probably important to talk about perspective here, because there are 2 very clear schools of thought. And so the lens with which we view AI might really determine how we come out of it. I think first mover advantage has probably gone. So if we think of the Luddites sat on their hands in the 19th century, the anxiety of machines replacing people, we totally get it. And they were right. 99% of farming jobs were gone within decades. But it paves the way for other stuff, for moon landings, for quirky CEOs to catapult Teslas to Mars. So it's going to be different. So today's talk is about, as soon as I'm up first, I'll go about language and definitions. I'll also touch on the big debate around ethics in AI. Then I'll share some neat real world examples, and then just bring it finally into some examples in marketing before I hand over to Kerry, who will take the baton on the marketing front. So if we go back to the beginning, what's the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence? So imagine you're sat with a toddler teaching them words using flashcards: cat, dog, sun, rain, whatever it is. Sometimes they'll get them correct, sometimes not. But the point is that you continue and you persist until they understand and they can repeat without fault. And then you move on to the next task. Machine learning is that. It's simple, repetitive tasks designed to do a single thing. There is a subdivision in that called deep learning, which is largely associated with machines learning without human supervision or with minimal supervision. And so artificial intelligence is really then about the application of that insight to make smart decisions. And so to process information and do something with it. So you can imagine as that 2-year-old progresses into adolescence, that teenager might apply some smart decision making. If it sees, if there's summer rain, they might get up off their backside and go out and take the washing in. That might never happen, but in theory, that would be the smart application of that machine learning. So artificial general intelligence. So this is the stuff, this is the sort of Terminator doomsday stuff. This is where we're talking about machines being capable of fully conscious thought and no longer needing humans. So to the point where they can decide to switch us off. So there is a school of thought that says never, impossible, because all of the complexities of human thought, like emotional, conscious human intelligence with all its nuance, it's just too difficult to replicate. But there is another view that it might not be far away. But I think the point is here that with nascent technology that we're all involved in now, of course, there will be polarized views. There will be nervousness, but that's the role of governments, right? Gunpowder led to wars, leads to Geneva Convention, UN Security Council. We have protective treaties around nuclear proliferation. For me, AI needs exactly that. And it needs governments working together to ensure that we can use AI for good. And so when we look at how far away could that be, the defense sector is a really good barometer for the pace of change. So the US Air Force have been developing an AI to enhance its prospects in air-to-air combat. So these are known as dogfights. We've all seen Top Gun, Maverick and Goose going at it. So the AI fighter pilot, after its years of machine learning and training, has beaten the top guns in the US Air Force 5 out of 5 duels. But the point is this, the US Air Force have said that, and these are their words, it's not about replacing pilots. In fact, there is a space for pilots in all of their next generation aircraft for the next 30, 40, 50 years. It's about redistributing like the cognitive workload that's expected of them, particularly in pressure situations, if you can get them to do things that they're more adept at. And so they even said that this AI in particular is actually not very good at lots of other things. So if a cruise missile was deployed at it, it's entirely flawed. And so if general intelligence isn't really around the corner, then I think the AI and the ethics debate feels like it really centers around it, certainly in the near term, about AI's potential to discriminate. And so we're seeing the power and the wealth gap widen. Data is likened to oil. It's fairly cliched now. We see it in every blog post we read, but it's true. The more data that you have, the more likely you are to create an unassailable lead. And so that's great for the big tech companies, but not very good for certain people or for other businesses. And in actual fact, there is a big issue around racial and gender diversity in the creation of AI. And this can lead to biases being played out. So there are some facial recognition systems that are woeful at recognizing women of color versus white middle-aged men because of the way they've been taught and the biases that are within. And so that's a challenge that we need to solve. But there is a bigger challenge as well. And so that's about automation's impact. And it will vary. The displacement of people will vary by country. It will vary city by city. But a McKinsey report said that African-American men will be most impacted by automation within the next 5 years. So haven't we got a perfect storm here? We can enhance people's ability to think, not get rid of them. Like, we can use this displacement of people to deliver diversity of thought higher up the corporate food chain. And so automation in our minds shouldn't be about replacing people, but about creating opportunities for people to think differently. And so, like, when you stop and think, like, it's when you do transformational stuff, when you're in the day-to-day, running the same old reports in the same old way for the same old people, you don't do transformational thinking. And so by creating time to think, we can change the world in which we live in. And so there is a famous quote, be the world you want to live in. As business leaders, it's our duty, I think, not to replace, but to augment. Like, profit at all costs is probably the ugliest form of capitalism. So I think, for me, companies have a future responsibility to reskill where automation replaces. And if every company takes responsibility for that, then we don't have the massive problem that we've experienced in the past when we have these big tech shifts. So if that sets the scene for AI, let's look at how we get to some of those neat apps and applications for AI. So there is a great mystery and a mystique to artificial intelligence. So that's right, because people tend to see the end product, they see the amazing thing that happens, but there's a lot of people and people power that goes into AI because machines need to learn on an industrial scale. And so if we look at facial recognition software, it's probably one of the most common uses of AI throughout the world. It can be used for good and bad. Whilst, you know, autocratic regimes might weaponize it in acts of repression, it also allows us, you know, we can speed our way through airports, we can open our phones without our hands. But to get to that, you need a massive, massive amount of data labeling. And so this sits at the heart of many AIs. And so there is an organization in China and many around the world, in fact. There is one called MBH, and it has 300,000 employees. And so these are the new digital factories of today. And so these people sit at machines and they label images 24/7, 365, 6-hour shifts. And so you have a conveyor belt of images. So 2017 saw a boom for facial recognition. Autonomous vehicle companies have been outsourcing their data labeling for their deep learning. And it's stuff like describing cityscapes, pedestrians, animals, road signs, the list goes on. And so with this, we're now seeing a demand for other stuff. So for labeling of tumors and legal documents being annotated. But to do that requires specialist skills, but the internet can provide that. So there is now a new data labeling infrastructure which connects people globally on an industrial scale. And so you have this massive amount of human power that goes into some of this stuff. So when you couple this with computational power, we almost have the perfect storm again for why we are clearly in the decade for AI. And so if you think traditional microprocessors, Intel's best chip, AMD, they could probably process maybe 5,000 to 7,000 images per second. And that's an AI chip built specifically for the task at hand. So Google and NVIDIA are coming into the game now in AI processing, but the clear winner is Alibaba in China. So it has a chip called Hangwang 800. It can process images 10 times faster than Intel's best chip. That's 70,000 images per second. So to put that in context, that's 6 billion images a day. It could process the faces of almost the entire population on the planet in a single day. And so it's the coming together of this, lots of data, powerful computational power that we have today that provides the backbone for many great AIs. We've already seen this week the great work done by DeepMind in solving a 50-year-old challenge of protein folding. And so AI is used in many great instances. So for example, in medicine, Google Health have just run an AI project with the NHS, and they compared the scans of 26,000 images like this from a potential cancer patient. And so the NHS provides the best system in the world. It's a two-person system. Many countries run a one-person system. So the AI was as good as our two-person system in almost every instance, and almost immediately outperformed all of the one-person systems. So when we think about like AI potentially replacing people, that we have a shortage of radiographers in the NHS, we can use AI to augment what they do and to eliminate the time-consuming jobs. AIs don't tire, and they can be as effective or more effective than people in certain roles. There is a fantastic example of AI being used in education. Like the education model is 250 years old. So you subdivide people by you divide people by age, you subdivide them by ability. Teacher stands at the front, barks at you for a year, you do an exam and see how much you took in, pretty much. And so there is no correlation actually between the investment in education technology up until now and the output. In fact, some poorer countries produce better results with less technology. And so there is the Khan Institute in San Francisco, which has turned education on its head by using an AI teacher. And so the AI teacher determines the rate at which people learn. And so it sets them individual tasks, it sets them group tasks, they go and find people of other age groups, it spots when their reactions are slowing down, it sets their breaks. And so all of a sudden you have children learning with other people of different ages and different ability in different formats. But most importantly, teachers aren't marking books anymore. Teachers aren't standing at the front repeating the same old syllabus. And so actually they use data to augment their understanding of how their children are performing. My favorite of all is AI being used in conservation. This is fantastic. So conservationists have historically relied on like camera traps to track poachers. It's really expensive, and it only ever sees what's in front of the lens. So there is a reserve in Cameroon which has built an array of acoustic sensors, significantly cheaper, and they can listen for gunshots. So they can pick up sounds from 360 degrees. They can pick up sounds of gunshots even if their line of sight is hindered, and they can do it for, I think, up to 1 kilometer, a mile away. And so there is an ML model that was done in Google Cloud that was trained to identify the gunshots, and it was able to listen to 267 days of recordings in less than 15 minutes, and it recorded about 1,800 instances of poaching. And so what's fascinating with that is it also appends all of the time, day, location data that came with it. And remarkably, one of the biggest human biases was that poachers are active at night. Well, actually not. They were most active in broad daylight. And so it might change even how you go about that. You might take that to the next level. There is no talk of this yet, but why not have drones that are sat waiting that can be deployed at any part around this reserve, that go and track that person, that relay GPS, that take images of them. Weaponizing them at this stage might be a bit much, but then we look at how AI is being used in marketing. So when we think marketing, we want to be as relevant to our audience as we possibly can, right? If we're not relevant, we're irrelevant. And that just feels catastrophic for a brand, doesn't it? So imagine if we could predict what our customers want before they sort of know, before they've finished typing their sentence, before they've looked at that next product. There is no better example of prediction than Google's predictive search. I don't know how many people use Gmail and have stopped finishing their own sentences because it now does it for them. And so to do that, you need a great amount of historic data. And so once you have that, then you can start to build models around that. And once you have the data, so if marketing is all about like the experience that you give to your customers as well. Take Taobao. So this is, I think, part of Alibaba. So you can take now a product of you can take a photo of any product in any shop on the high street in China, and Taobao will find that product for you online in seconds. It's currently processing, I think, about 1 billion requests a day. And then the final one, before I hand over to Kerry, I think most people will have seen this, but there was a TV ad produced by Lexus, which was created by AI. And so they had partnership, they included data from the last 15 years worth of Cannes winners for car ads, luxury ads. They amalgamated first-party data, third-party data from ad tracking services, and the AI then created the narrative. Their words is that it's rich in genuine human emotion and indistinguishable from anything written by a human. If you look at the latest Asda ad, then yeah, humans can be lacking creativity sometimes as well. And so provided you have the right data, then the possibilities feel sort of endless. It's our ability to dream up what they could do for us. And so what we do at Third Foundation, we call it black hole thinking. And it's about the ingestion of data being the most important part of that project. And so we built a product that reduces the time required in data engineering by about 80%. And so we're helping clients currently from banks, property companies to make smarter decisions. And it's about tying up information from across their value chain. And so we free them up to think differently and to create time to think. And so with that, I will hand over to Kerry, and she can talk you through some of the more specific content examples within marketing.
Thank you very much, Michael. Hi, everyone. So I'm Kerry. As Stephen introduced me earlier, I'm the co-founder of Tiny Giant. We're a creative tech agency based in Bristol. I'm going to share my screen just so that you can see our little bit of information about who we are. But bear with me. Present. So this is who we are. So this is our sort of what we do in a sentence. But we are primarily use a combination. It's quite a nice lead on actually from what Michael's just been saying, where we use a combination of human creativity, so great ideas that come from human minds, and combine that with emerging technology. We're using AI, but also AR and social media as well. So I suppose the reason, I guess, that Tiny Giant set up, and one of the reasons that we're using emerging technology is because of this. And the whole idea with advertising is that you spend a lot of money and you go out to the world and you hope that people like what you do and take it on board. But these kind of stats, and this is from a Harvard University study, it says that we see 3,000 commercial messages every single day. This is for a typical city dweller. And it includes things like when you open your cupboards in the morning, you know, what it says in the cereal packets, the branding you see, the things you see on the bus sides, the ads you hear when you play Spotify. So it's a lot of messages we get every day. But interestingly, at the end of that, you'll only remember 2 of those messages the next day. So it's pretty hard in these times to get any kind of traction or to get noticed. And one of the things we wanted to do at Tiny Giant was to really try and buck this trend. We thought it was a real shame that people spend a lot of money on marketing and it doesn't really make very much of an impact. So that's kind of where we began. And our whole concept is around helping people to stand out and do something different. And we found that emerging technology is a great way of doing this. You can create experiences that just haven't been possible before. You can just do a whole bunch of very exciting stuff. And so what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is to talk you through some of the ways that AI is being used in our industry. And Michael's example there, which was a nice lead on actually from Lex, is a really good one. And there's definitely a lot more people who are starting to use this now, and it's very exciting. So I've broken it down into 3 sections. There's absolutely loads you can do. I've broken it down to sort of AI, visuals, and branding, and then we're going to talk about sort of product development, and then we're going to talk about experiential. So I'll start here. I suppose one of the projects that I've seen that I really liked, and when I spoke to Stephen about doing this talk, this was one that he mentioned as well. This was a project done by JWT agency. They were working with their client ING Bank, who are a Dutch company. They're very much into culture over in Holland, and they're also quite a traditional bank. So this project for them was a real sort of step into the new world and to show how innovative they were. But it's using AI, and what the whole aim of the project was to create the next Rembrandt. So a piece of artwork that looked very, very like Rembrandt, but was actually created by AI. And what they did was they trained a neural network on all of Rembrandt's paintings, well, 346 of them. And they also used huge amounts of data around the way that he used light, the way that he positioned facial features in all of his paintings. So he gathered huge amounts of data, but also used his artwork as well. And then they created this next Rembrandt, this new piece of art using AI. And then they used really nice printing techniques. So 11 layers of ink to give it a real lovely texture. And then the final piece looked like this. It's pretty amazing. It looks gorgeous, obviously in that background there. It was actually in the Rembrandt Museum for quite a long time. But what's really interesting, it's not just a cool creative project, which it was. It also did really, really well for the agency and for ING. So on the day that it was launched, it got over 10 million Twitter impressions. It featured in 1,400 articles, and it even raised the share price of ING and Microsoft, who helped to make this happen. It actually raised the share price of those two businesses on the day of launch as well. So it had a massive, massive impact. So that's the sort of first project I thought I'd talk about in this area. And then just one of the ones that we've done at Tiny Giant. So we worked with, quite recently, worked with a company in London. They're an AI startup, and they came to us because they wanted us to do a branding project for them. And they wanted us to try and use AI and algorithms within the sort of process of branding, which has been an amazing project for us. And we've learned absolutely loads. So this is just to show some of the we did a range of territories for them. This is the one they went with. They wanted to do some really like strong graphics to go across all their comms. So we used AI and algorithms to help with this process. And in terms of how we did it, we created a range of AI generated backgrounds. So the black and white bit that you see there is an AI generated piece of art, essentially. And we used humans to come up with the colors for the branding and the sort of visual look for it. So we've got some nice inspirational imagery and then some textures. And then we put those, and we created an algorithm and put those in. And then at the press of a button, you could then generate a piece of design. And we literally press a button, new designs generated. These are some of the sort of imagery side of things that came out. All of them are completely unique. So no, it's never a repeat of what's gone before. Everything's very slightly different. And in terms of how that then translated, this is the front cover of their design guidelines. And this is the imagery that is used at the top of their website. So it looks really impactful. It's really cool. It helped us to work out how we could do design at the press of a button, which was a really interesting project for us and something that we are sort of exploring in a bit more detail now. But interestingly, and following on from what Michael was saying, there's a lot of human behind this. So yes, you can press a button and the algorithm generates a design, but the human decided on the branding colors and chose the imagery and sort of thought about how the textures would layer up. So it's very much of a combination of the two. Following on from that, AI for inspiration and product development. So AI, and again, following on from what Mike was saying about augmenting, this AI is amazing for augmenting human creativity. And this is something that we've been exploring over the last 2 years. And this is a project that was done a while ago now, but it was done by Philip Schmidt, and it was called the Chair Project, with AI in the chair being capital. And he trained a GAN, so a generative adversarial network, which is a form of machine learning algorithm, on hundreds and hundreds of chairs, iconic 20th century chairs. And the aim of this was to create a new chair that would be, almost like a new icon, basically. So rather than just generating the chair, so if you look on the left-hand side, you can see the chair that was generated by the AI. Rather than doing that, he said, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to get my human designers on it, and we're going to create some chairs from the output. And that's what he did. So he used it as a jump-off point, a starting point, to then eventually create some scale models of the AI-generated chairs, which is a really gorgeous process. And in a way, we did a similar process with creating, as Stephen said earlier, the world's first AI gin, which was a great project for us. We did last year. We worked with another Pimento member, actually, John Ray, who helped us. And the whole point of this was to create some traction, to do something really different. They're quite an innovative gin company who like to do things differently, which was great for us. And we not only used AI to generate the recipe for the gin, so we trained a neural network on thousands of botanicals, and then essentially used it to generate recipes, which the gin company then tested a few of the recipes and tried them out, and then chose one to actually then to go on and make the gin. So again, in a kind of augmented way, they took the recipe and then crafted it with their own human sort of tastes and worked out how much of each botanical would go into the gin. We also used AI to name the gin as well. So these are a few names that came out. These ones weren't chosen, although we did really like some of these ones. We really like Digby 6 and Kinto City. And we trained it on gin names, but also beer names. Because beer names are, as when we looking through for a data set, we were like, actually, there's some really brilliant beer names. So this is beers and gin. And we also put in some star constellations and some mythical creatures, because we thought that would add a nice little extra twist to it. So interesting data set. And these are some of the names. they decided to go with Monka's Garkle in the end. So this is the name of the gin. They said they thought it sounded like a gin, but it was a little bit wonky. So that's how they chose that one. And we also used the same sort of design process that I talked through earlier. We used that for the label design as well. And they wanted something sort of sci-fi and a little bit sort of offbeat. These are some of the ones that were generated. In an ideal world, we really wanted them to do a different label for every single gin, because they do very short runs. So 1,000 bottles were created, and we wanted them to do a different one for everyone, which would have been possible, but from a budget point of view, they said they weren't quite ready for that. So they did this one, which was chosen. It's AI, so algorithmic generated design, AI name, AI gin, and then we also used AI to write some of the label as well. So the copy was also AI generated. So a whole, there it is. That's the gin. I don't think you can buy it now. I think it's all sold out, which is very exciting. It's won a couple of taste awards, which is really great, and so it did actually taste very nice as well. And it's been shortlisted for a DMA award this year as well, which is great. And in terms of traction, it did really well, as you can imagine. You know, the first AI gin, tiny distillery in Bristol, going out, went absolutely everywhere. It hit 5 continents within the first week. So a very nice final result for them as well. Last one is AI for experiences. So there's lots and lots of ways you can use AI for experiences. I've just chosen 2 because there's just so many to mention. This is one, it's a really beautiful example, which was done, this was probably about 18 months ago now, that there's a Dali museum over in St. Petersburg, not in Russia, but actually in the US. And they wanted to create an experience where people could actually sort of relate with Dali, so that then when they went to look at his art, they'd have a better experience with the art. And they created a sort of deep fake Dali, which using footage from actually Dali, any Dali footage they could get. So this obviously on the left is the original Dali, and this is the AI generated deep fake Dali. You could have a chat with him. You could even have a selfie with him. It's worth having a look at the YouTube videos if you get a chance, because it's really cool what they did. And as you can imagine, it did really well. And it just looked like a really nice experience that you could interact with him and then go and look at all of his artwork. So that's a Dali thing. We've also created the world's first AI guest curator for the Cheltenham Science Festival, which we did last year. So the coordinator of the Cheltenham Science Festival really wanted to bring AI into the festival to really sort of make it, I suppose, a bit more tangible for people. So she wanted it to be part of the festival, for people to talk about it. And she came to us, and every year the Cheltenham Science Festival have 3 curators. So then they're normally human, but this in 2019, last year, there was 2 human curators and an AI curator, which was Ada. We had to give her a sort of face and a look, because she had to sit alongside the other 2 human curators. So this is what she looked like. She's based on Ada Lovelace, so she's like a modern take on Ada Lovelace. And luckily for us, Ada, we put an I in it, so she's Ada with an AI. And in terms of what she delivered, one of the things they wanted us to do was to use the AI to come up with some talk suggestions for the festival. So myself and my co-founder sat down one weekend and literally pulled out every single talk ever delivered at the Cheltenham Science Festival. So that was 12 years worth of talks. We took the title and the little sort of descriptor, 12 years worth, and used that as our data set. And we were able then to train a neural network, which generated some talk suggestions of its own. And there was hundreds and hundreds of talks generated. We went up to Cheltenham Science Festival, probably about 25 of them, and they loved them and couldn't decide which ones they liked. But these are just 4 that we took up. Some of them are pretty bonkers. We loved the idea of a 3D dog workshop, but they decided not to go with that one. But in the end, they put it out to public vote on Twitter, and Introvert Narwhals was the talk that was chosen. So a talk generated by AI and delivered at the festival. Here it is, delivered at the festival. It was actually, luckily for us, narwhals are actually quite shy, so it kind of worked out. But a natural history presenter came down and presented this at the beginning of the talk, and then myself and some people someone from University of Cambridge and Decca Records, we sat down and talked about how AI affects our culture. So it was a great event. It was really great for the festival. Ada got a lot of coverage, as you can imagine. We even took her onto BBC Radio as well. And Ada also did a forward for the brochure. So here are the other 2 human curators for 2019, and this is Ada, and we used AI to generate her forward as well. And she came back actually for 2020 as the face of the festival this year, because it went online and it felt a nice thing to do to bring her back for the 2020 festival. And it also won a DMA Gold Award for Best Use of AI, which is great for us and very, very good for the Cheltenham Science Festival. And we're now looking into how we could potentially take her and make her into some kind of sort of Little Michaela. I don't know if you've seen Little Michaela, she's a virtual influencer, how we could maybe use her to start representing women in and STEM subjects and really start helping the younger generation to see the beauty and wonder of science. So that's another thing that we'll be exploring going forward. So just to wrap up, those are just, there's loads of examples that I can give you. If anyone wants to know any more or has any questions, obviously feel free to drop me a note. I would say that doing these things takes a little bit of a pioneering client, I would say, but what we always say is nothing wonderful ever happened to you if you don't take a risk. I love this quote from Professor Scott Galloway. And so yeah, I think doing something brave, doing something different, it's a great way to stand out. If you don't do something different, then you'll be one of those ones that just gets forgotten in that 3,000 messages a day. So have a think about it and explore. And as Michael said, you know, it is a combination of human creativity and AI together, which works a treat. So yeah, do check it out. Thank you very much. As I say, I'm Kerry from Tiny Giant. Visit our website, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and drop me any questions if you have any. Thank you very much.
Kerry, thank you very much indeed. Right, we're going to hand over to Adam, who's going to complete our presentations this morning, and then we'll come back to some questions after his short presentation. Adam.
Great stuff. Well, Kerry, that was amazing. And similar to Ada, we have stolen the AI in our name and chosen inflo.Ai. So what I'm going to do is first share my screen. Here we go. So moving on from Ada to inflo.Ai, my name is Adam, and I'm the co-founder of inflo.Ai. We're a London-based AI company using AI to make SEO content creation much, much easier, crucially more scientific for agencies and in-house marketing teams. The next cue I want to use from Kerry's talk, because I'm racking my brains to find good intersections here, is speaking of risks. Which I can talk about for more than 15 minutes, but we'll focus on it for 30 seconds. So speaking of risks, in 2013, myself and my business partner followed in the footsteps of a spotty 16-year-old chap in front of your screen right now, looking at his screen, in fact, looking at our screen, called Nick Deloisio. And here he is. And I'm sure a number of you would have heard of Nick. But for those who haven't heard of Nick, he built an app called Sumly. Now, what does Sumly do? Sumly cleverly used NLP, natural language processing, to aggregate and summarize finance content. He actually took content from the Wall Street Journal. So interestingly, in March 2013, he got approached by Yahoo, and Sumly was acquired for $30 million, which is not bad going for a 16-year-old chap. So I thought, I'm going to follow in the footsteps of Nick Deloisio. And in 2015, I launched the first ever sports news summary app using NLP. 5 years ago now, we got voted top 10 app entrepreneur by Facebook. Launched SportsFix, the logo's there on the left, it looks really old now. And we used NLP, as I say, to aggregate and summarize sports content. Shortly after launch, and about a year after launch, and speaking to hundreds of marketing agencies, marketing teams across the UK, decided to pivot the business away from B2C and an app into a B2B platform to make SEO content creation easier. Why did we do that? Saw a problem, could see marketing teams wanted to be more efficient, wanted to produce more content, and leverage the technology from SportsFix to create a platform to make creating content a hell of a lot easier. And we've put in 6-7 years now of development into doing that. and work across different sectors, including with agencies, B2B, technology and professional services. Don't worry, actually, before the end of the presentation, I will take another risk, which Michael warned me of, but I will be doing a live demo. So throwing my hat into the ring on that one, which is going to be interesting. And Stephen doesn't know this, but I'm going to be picking on Stephen's content that he wrote and trying to automate and trying to optimize, in fact, the article that he wrote a few weeks ago. Okay, but what I'm going to do for now is move away from risk and move into the landscape of AI for a second or two. Okay, so obviously Kerry and Michael have covered most aspects, so it leaves me with the shrapnel. No, of course not. In fact, the most interesting part of things, which is definitely the AI marketing landscape, but specifically focusing on tools. So of course, AI is absolutely everywhere across marketing, and there's been an explosion of tools in the last decade. Absolutely loads of tools. And I found an article on HubSpot this week that actually pinpoints 16 types of tool. That's just type of tool. And here they are. And I'm sure many of you here adopt different tools across those different types, from CRM to social media to lead gen to MA tools to project management. In fact, I doubt anyone hasn't got one of those tools in their workflow right now. And it's pretty scary. In the last 5 years, I could cite this point here of there's been 150 named companies in 2011, all the way to 3,500 companies and logos to 2016, which is absolutely crazy. It looks like some mad jigsaw here or puzzle that's going on, and all the way to 7,000 logos today. And this is marketing tools. So lots to choose from. In fact, I did a search on Google and put in AI marketing tools and found just on page 1, 103 different marketing tools, which is crazy. So what does this really mean? Me jabbering on about different tools, what does that really actually mean for us? Well, one way of looking at this is that the job of a marketing team, the job of an agency, is becoming more complex. You know, which tool should I use? Which is the right tech stack for me? Does it align with my commercial objectives? Is it right for my workflow? Is it right for the size of my company? But I argue it doesn't have to be so complex. Yes, there are many tools around, but it's actually time for consolidation in the market. And AI is really there to make your life easier, not more complex. What I'm going to do now, before I get into the risky part of the demo, is zoom in on specifically content marketing and SEO content, what we know best here at Inflo. Of course, a hugely powerful form of marketing, delivering measurable results, and you know, there's citations of 3 times more leads than any other advertising form. So it's a really powerful way of promoting yourself. But SEO content is hard. It is time consuming and interesting. And this is why AI can play such a big role now in society to help automate this. Because a blog post is actually increasing the time it takes to write, because you've got to jump through more hoops of Google. And in fact, it's taking on average 65% longer to write a blog post compared to 2014. So the average time of writing a blog post in 2014, now is 3 hours and 57 minutes. That's now, compared to 2 hours and 24 minutes in 2014. Why? Because there's so many more requirements. And there's so many questions in the content process where AI can assist. For instance, the questions you often ask yourself when you're writing a blog, when you're getting into content marketing, would be as follows. How do I come up with a data-driven strategy? Am I being scientific in my approach? Am I just sort of frantically writing content? Is it going to generate any traffic? Am I choosing the right titles? What should I be referencing? What's going on in my industry? Is it optimized for Google? And how do I push and publish this content to make sure it actually is going to deliver some return? So without further ado, I'm going to show you Inflo, what we've built in the last 6-7 years of doing this. And there's really, just before I do that, the quick intro, there's kind of two parts to the technology. So the first is we provide the organizations we work with an SEO content-driven strategy, i.e. we actually do the keyword research for you. Then secondly, our tool actually assists you in the article building process using AI and models that we've trained for years. And trust me, I was one of the taggers of the data in the early days, sat in Gales, labeling if this is an AI article, finance article, politics, then arguing with my business partner over an almond croissant if one is both or not. So I have definitely witnessed the struggles of tagging in the early days, painfully and firsthand. How do we use AI though? No, answer the question, how do we actually use AI? Well, we use AI, before I show the demo, to recommend keywords. We've built technology that recommends keywords right for your business, i.e. what you should focus on. We use AI to summarize articles. And that was something that stayed with us since the kind of citing summary and moving to SportsFix, because if we can help tell obviously our users what's going on in an article through a quick snapshot, clearly that we're saving people a lot of time doing that. So we've kind of coined 100-word summaries, picking out kind of salient parts of the article. And yes, after a lot of training, again, they are readable. So that's been something. And then finally, AI to actually optimize your post and your visibility online. So what I'm going to do now is jump into Inflo. And a very messy desktop, you're probably thinking. So this is Inflo here. So the platform, as I say, assists you in the content process. So you can find content in your newsfeed. As you can see, this is a quick overview. Boards is there to save content. Posts is there to help you write content. Well, what I'm going to do here is actually jump into the Pimento blog. Which is going to be interesting. So I'm going to put that over there. And if I click on here, I'm going to navigate to the blog. And I'm going to find an article from Stephen himself, which I can see here. So here we are. The creative industry favors collaborative working. We're going to collaborate on this one. So let's click on this. Okay. And then understand how the content strategy works. You then cite other research, so you make a comment and you cite it. So I'm going to have to click on read all our findings here. And then what I want to do is, here's Stephen's content, as you can see, Stephen Knight, CEO and founder of Pimento. How can we optimize this using our technology and using AI? So what I'm going to do is copy this text here. Do like a live demo. Copy that and then hit post, and I'm going to paste it into Inflo. Pop that down there. As you can see, this is a smart editor, so we've made it easy for you to improve and optimize content in the tool. Okay, so what I've done there is pop that content into the editor, as you can see, and it's pasted it quite nicely in the tool. Okay, haven't missed anything, I don't think. The next thing is that you can see here this lovely bit of kit called the SEO scanner. And this gives you an overview of how your post is performing. So you can see here there's 8 modules, and it's flagging here a couple of modules in red, what you need to improve. And this will raise the visibility using AI of your post. So sentence length needs some improvement. What can we do there? Well, if you click on the information button, clearly I'm not going to spend, as I say, 3 hours and 56 minutes doing this now, but I will spend just a quick couple of seconds. You can improve your sentence length very quickly by making sure the sentences are less than 20 words. Paragraph length, similar kind of thing. Subheadings distribution, actually, Stephen isn't currently actually scoring at all for subheading distribution. And how do I know this? Because it's got no score there. And if I jump back into the editor, Stephen's actually put some headings here, but the important thing is actually really important to tell Google. So I'm highlighting this heading here of interagency collaboration is key. And as you can see, highlighted it, jump back up to the headings here, and I'm going to include a heading 2. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to do. The next thing is same thing here, add heading 2. And this, as you can see, has then triggered the SEO scanner there, and it's moved from green to yellow. Why? Because what we've done is tell Google that we know what we're doing. This particular title is important. It's what's called a heading 2, an H2, and therefore it will be better picked up in Google. Now that's useful bit of tech, and obviously useful to raise the visibility and uplift, but the tool actually goes a step further, and very quickly I want to show you that. So this is actually set up for an accountancy firm now. So switching from Stephen to something probably less exciting, an accountancy firm. Well, I don't know, the jury's out, obviously not. So here we go. So what I'm going to do here is click on newsfeed. And let's just say an accountancy firm based in Berkshire. Their core services are bookkeeping, business advisory, and management accountants. That's all they know. That's what they do. They're their 3 core offerings. How can they use AI to make content creation easier, more scientific? First thing they do is they need to find content, of course. How can we help? If you click on the filters button, we have used AI to recommend the keywords they should target, as you can see. So bookkeeping services, credit control, bookkeeping. These are searches that people would write into Google, and hopefully, obviously, they want to rank for it. So example of sales bookkeeping. Click on sales bookkeeping. As you can see, move that down. Excuse me there. Annoyingly, there we go. Hit apply. And what's happened there is 61 articles have been found for specifically sales bookkeeping from the system. And very quickly, how can we help? Well, first thing you can do is hit read summary. This is an AI generated summary from the technology. So this is created by algorithms. We've trained algorithms for years to do this. It's a readable summary and it's relevant to the keyword of sales bookkeeping, as you can see, and it's readable. You can read the full article. You can save content into your bookkeeping board. As you can see, that's now saved. And then finally posts, making it easy to create content. We actually give you a title. So here's an SEO title under the topic of bookkeeping. So in this example, what should a small business owner know about bookkeeping? Jump into the editor. There's my title, optimized for SEO. Jump into boards, open up my board of bookkeeping. And what can I do here? I can take a summary relevant to sales bookkeeping, open up my editor, and let's just say I've taken multiple sentences from different articles, but just to speed up for this example, I'm going to paste a few of the same, just to show you I'm building out the text. And again, the SEO scanner will trigger. You can easily add imagery. Obviously, the AI summaries are there to capture what's being said, and you're starting to build out an article much, much quicker. So, and the final thing would obviously, once I'm happy with the content, I'll be able to hit publish and publish the content to my site. Final thing is back to here very, very quickly is, does it work? That's the main thing. Does this thing work? Yes, it does work. We are delivering measurable results, as you can see. SEO is a bit like going to the gym. Where unfortunately you will not look like Arnold Schwarzenegger after month 1. But after month 3, you might be a bit happier with yourself. And these are the kind of results that we're seeing across our users who are consistently producing an article a week. 52% increase in clicks on a month-on-month basis, 25% for impressions, and importantly, saving time. That's how it works. And that is everything. Thank you. So final thing is to say thanks to everyone who's watched. If you do want to get in touch, my email's there and the website is there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Great. And so we had 3 very different presentations and very different insights into the world of AI. I'd like to thank our speakers today. We never have enough time, do we, on these talks? We always end up basically getting to the point. I mean, I've got loads of questions coming, particularly around kind of the moral and ethical debate around AI and what responsibility do we have as agencies, as practitioners. We can push it back to government. We can obviously say the industry will basically figure it out for themselves over time, like all technologies. But actually, we've learned that actually we have a set of codes and we have a moral framework to deal with. On the onset of these things, it can be really helpful. I can't unfortunately open up because we've only got 2 minutes left, but I also had a couple of things I wanted to mention. Beyond thanking Adam, Michael and Kerry for today, I also wanted to mention to you that we've got a couple of upcoming events that I wanted to flag. First of all, next week will be our last event before Christmas, next Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And the content next week will be around how's COVID-19 impacted on the financial resilience of businesses, the future business environment, and expected challenges of 2021, future of the workplace and trust in government strategy. Some really interesting insights there. That'll be led by Savanta, and they've got some live data to be able to share with us. They've been doing a rolling piece of research since March, and they've been on the show a few times. It'll be really interesting to see where we are on that cycle. We'll also be sharing the results of the Pimento annual membership survey. Thank you for all the members who got involved in that. Non-members as well as members are free to come to this event next week, get some insights, and you'll see it warts and all, what the good, the bad, and the ugly on that front. And then the other thing just to mention is we have a networking event. Isabel's about to pop it up onto the, there she does, brilliant, onto the chat box. Networking event, the 5 p.m. club, which is a much more of a social affair, lots of networking opportunities. You bring the drink and we'll bring the host. In this case, we're being actually hosted by Adam, no less. So Adam, thank you for hosting us. Looking forward to that. That's 5 p.m. club on December the 10th. So once again, thank you to everyone. We are finishing bang on time. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you again this time next week. And have a good rest of the week. And thanks again to the panel. Cheers. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks all. Many thanks.